Hello, it's Saturday, the 16th of July. You're tuned in to our 6 p.m. newscast coming to you from Arirang's news centre in Seoul. It's very good to have you with us. I'm Mark Broom. The attempted coup in Turkey is our starting point this evening. An uprising by rebel soldiers appears to have been thwarted. Scores of people were killed during clashes across the country. Most were civilians. The reprisals against those responsible are already being meted out. Shin Se-min reports.
Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan has declared that his government has regained control of the country after a faction of army tried to overthrow him. He said certain elements of the military are guilty of treason after violent clashes in Ankara and Istanbul left at least 90 people dead and more than 1,000 injured. Turkey's acting army chief says more than 104 plotters have been killed and 1,563 soldiers who had taken part in the coup had been arrested, including almost 30 colonels and 5 generals. It all began when Turkey's top military officials declared they had taken control of the country late Friday night, rattling major infrastructure in Istanbul and Ankara, including the parliament building, which was rocked by nearby explosions. Armed soldiers were spotted at strategic points across both cities. Jets flew low over Ankara, and local broadcaster CNN Turk was taken over by forces, even cutting live broadcast. Istanbul's Ataturk airport also fell into the hands of the rogue army units, causing it to close, but flights in and out have since resumed. As the coup attempt was happening, Erdogan took to FaceTime, urging citizens to take to the streets and rally in public squares to rise up against the coup attempts as he flew back from his holiday resort in the southwest of the country. Leaving many in the international community shaken, fellow NATO member nations and world leaders were quick to react. U.S. President Barack Obama called on all parties in Turkey to support the democratically elected government and show restraint. UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon said that the UN is seeking to clarify the situation and appealed for calm. Shin Se-min, Arirang News.
Now, South Korea's foreign ministry has issued a special travel advisory for Turkey in light of the unstable situation there. This means Koreans are advised to not travel to that country. The warning will be in place until August 29th, but it could be lifted before then if things return to normal soon. Around 100 Korean nationals who were stuck in Istanbul's Ataturk airport as this coup attempt was happening are still awaiting flights out, but are confirmed to be safe. Now, 3 days of national mourning have begun in France for the victims of Thursday's terror attack in Nice, which killed at least 84 people, including 10 children. More than 50 others are clinging on to life in critical condition at hospitals around the city. The Paris prosecutor says the truck attack on the seafront bore all the hallmarks of Islamic militants. French Prime Minister Manuel Valls has told French TV that the 31-year-old attacker from Tunisia was, quote, a terrorist without doubt linked to radical Islamism in one way or another, end quote. French media is reporting that 4 people believed to be linked to the attacker are in police custody. President Park Geun-hye has ordered the utmost efforts to ensure the safety and security of Korean nationals overseas following the senseless terror attack in Nice and the attempted coup in Turkey. Citing the uncertainties in the international community, the president said the government's focus should be centred on monitoring the situation and reinforcing countermeasures. Now, the president also called for the nation's support and understanding over the government's decision to deploy a powerful US anti-missile defense system in Seongju County in the south of the country. Her remarks follow angry protests from local residents on Friday. The 11th Asia-Europe meeting has come to a close in Mongolia. Leaders there have set the vision for Eurasia's future after marking 20 years of cooperation. President Park Geun-hye secured the backing of leaders for South Korea's efforts to denuclearize North Korea and hopefully one day unify the Koreas. Song Ji-seon reports from Ulaanbaatar.
President Park Geun-hye has called North Korea the missing link in fulfilling Asia and Europe's common dream of peace and prosperity. At the retreat session of this year's ASEM Summit, President Park said Pyongyang's self-isolating development of nuclear weapons is preventing Eurasia from achieving more.
President Park said one missing link of completing Eurasia's vision is North Korea, and that it will be extremely difficult to realize the potential of cooperation or connectivity between Asia and Europe without resolving the North Korean issue.
President Park asked for Asia and Europe's support in unifying the two Koreas, saying it's the only way to resolve North Korea's nuclear and human rights issues. In its Ulaanbaatar chair statement, the ASEM group condemned Pyongyang's nuclear and WMD programs in the strongest terms, calling them a grave violation of UN Security Council resolutions. Following the brutal terror attack in Nice on Thursday, Asian and European leaders also adopted a statement on global terrorism, strongly condemning all acts of terrorism, regardless of its objective, purpose, or location. ASEM leaders also welcomed President Park's proposal to hold the ASEAN Economy Ministers meeting in South Korea next year and agreed to iron out the details at high-level trade talks at the end of this year. Wrapping up our itinerary at the ASEM summit, President Park is now set for the Korea-Mongolia summit on Sunday. Together with their Mongolian counterpart, Chahia Elbek-Dorj, the two sides will seek to strengthen their comprehensive partnership on economic cooperation and North Korea policies. 송지선, Arirang News, Ulaanbaatar.
Now, North Korea has reportedly been identified as a high-risk money laundering and terror financing state by the European Union. The Voice of America reports that North Korea is one of 11 nations on the European Commission's list. Some of the other countries include Afghanistan, Iraq, Syria, Uganda, and Iran. The designation comes a matter of weeks after the US government declared North Korea a primary money laundering concern for the first time ever. Pyongyang is under a slew of unilateral and multilateral sanctions following its fourth nuclear test and long-range missile launch earlier this year. South Korea's top 10 business groups have seen their market capitalisation spike more than 5% since Britain's decision last month to leave the European Union. Data compiled by industry tracker Chebol.com shows the market cap of the listed firms under the country's top business groups came to $576 billion as of Thursday, up $28.1 billion since June 24th when Britain voted out of the EU. Korea's biggest conglomerate, Samsung Group, has seen its market cap rise almost 6.5%, thanks in large part to the strong performance of Samsung Electronics. LG Group, SK Group and Lotte Group also saw their market caps go up over the period. Now, the Labour Ministry has set Korea's minimum wage at $6,471 or $5.70 an hour. The new minimum wage translates to just over $45 for an 8-hour workday or $1,200 a month. The ministry says the 7.3% minimum pay rise will affect more than 3.3 million workers in Korea. Although the decision made by a trilateral council of representatives from Labour management and the general public, it was met with disapproval by those who think the raise is too small and those who think it is too much. Trade unions are calling for the minimum wage to be raised to at least 10,000 won or $8.80 an hour. The Korea Employers Federation says the raise will put more burden on smaller companies. Now, let's take it back to Mongolia, because the Asian nation is struggling to contain the effects of desertification, a problem that contributes to the yellow dust storms that Korea has to face every now and again. Our Connie Kim travelled to Mongolia to see the steps both countries are taking to try and turn the tide.
Rapid desertification has made life in the vast Mongolian desert dunes even harder for nomads who are used to the arid conditions.
This area has completely changed. Yellow dust storms are getting worse, so the trees are disappearing and the sand dunes have been moving.
It's these sand dunes that cover 40% of Mongolia's territory, and even worse, almost all of Mongolia is suffering from rapid desertification. Human activity, especially mining, is said to be the biggest reason causing Mongolia's desertification. But rehabilitation projects are bringing green back to the country. In this Baganur mine located south of the capital city, mine rehabilitation projects are underway, and this is where Korea comes in for joint cooperation.
Mongolia is rich in natural resources, but has less awareness in mine rehabilitation. Environmentally friendly development is needed. We opened an office here in 2010 and are currently working with the Mongolian government.
It is a mammoth task. Come the rainy season, rain combines with exposed minerals and flows into nearby lakes and rivers, polluting them.
When the mining is complete, the area is flattened so that we can cover the area with soil and plant trees. We're also purifying nearby lakes that have been polluted with wastewater.
The rolling green areas are where debris from mining development have been flattened and covered with soil so grass can take hold. 6 mines have undergone the rehabilitation process since the Mine Reclamation Corporation opened its office in Mongolia in 2010. Through years of joint work, Mongolian workers have learned basic mine rehabilitation techniques, such as flattening debris piles and covering them with soil. With that, the two countries' ultimate aim is to build convenient facilities for area residents and convert enough land for renewable energy development in the long term. Connie Kim, Arirang News, Baganor.
Finally, as we like to do at this time on a Saturday evening, we're going to take a look at the weather. And most of the country is continuing to see on and off showers this evening. We will have the odd downpour throughout the night as well, but Sunday should be drier, although it will be overcast and there could be isolated showers here and there. Temperature-wise, we'll see afternoon highs around the mid to high 20s. With that, let's take a look at the weather around the world. Well, that's all we have for now. Do enjoy the rest of your Saturday, wherever you're watching us, and stay tuned to Arirang TV. We'll be back with our next newscast coming up at 10 p.m. Korea time. So until then, goodbye.